What's up, everybody? We're back with another video. Today we've got the Trinidad Media Luna. This is a box from 2021, and I've never smoked this cigar before. Really nice Trinidad presentation here. I've had some Trinidad in the past. I've had a Reyes. I believe I've had a Colonialis. And overall, I do like the flavor of these. I haven't had too many. I am a fan of the Reyes. So this is going to be a Petite Robusto. Here is the cigar. Pigtail cap, 50 ring gauge. I think it's 4.5 inches in length. Expecting some good things off this. All right, we got it lit up. Great draw. Tiny little bit of pepper and spice on the initial light. But still smooth and good. Today, we're up here at Molly's Nipple, and there's a few theories on how this particular mountain got the name. The most prominent theory is that an early settler or early pioneer named it after his wife's nipple, supposedly. The mountain range you see behind me here is known as Gooseberry Mesa. And thought it'd be good to show everybody how we're getting up here, how we're reaching these places. So we're gonna play a little bit of B-roll of how we got up here. I'm gonna show off the side-by-side. It's a 2025 Can-Am Maverick R Max. Somebody else is showing up here right now. So we just had a local show up to the trail who's going to be doing some paragliding right off of this mesa that we're on, which is awesome. Paragliding is crazy, and we'll splice that in here. Getting here wasn't too much trouble at all. It was actually a beautiful drive. We were doing about 40, 50 miles an hour in the side-by-side. Really easy to lose track of the speed when the dirt roads are so smooth. I believe this is Bureau of Land Management, BLM land out here. Today is a little bit colder. A little bit of wind, but not too bad. The sun is breaking through in certain parts. High today, 53 degrees, so it is a little bit on the colder side. Still nice, you know, beautiful view that you can see off to my side here. The layers on these rocks, these red rocks, are just beautiful. I love them. Due to some slight wind, a little tougher for me to light this thing. We've got a wavy burn line here, but I don't think it's bad enough to correct. Maybe it'll self-correct on its own.
I don't. Can you send me a copy? You can find me on Facebook. It would be Cody James.
We're getting the details of the paraglider now. So we'll be sure to feature him in the video. Shout out to Cody James for coming up here and doing some paragliding. Pretty wild. But it's a good spot for it. I'll try to get into some flavor notes on this cigar. Trinidad is just a little bit more, I guess you would call it full-bodied, but there is a little bit more strength to the flavor, especially on that leather, on that spice, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I would say that this is a more creamy Partagas, or a more lighter flavored Partagas. This cigar is from 2021, so I feel like it has had ample time to age. And I think I'm just not that big of a fan of Trinidad, to be honest. It's good, but I find that there's a little bit more of that sugary sweetness and honeycomb that I get out of Cohiba. These are not Cohiba prices, though, so that's the trade-off that you're making there. Yeah, there's some baking spice to this. I'm not really sure how else to describe it. I'm really not the best with flavors and stuff like that, so. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy the view. And thanks for hanging out again and smoking with me, Trinidad Media Luna. Out here in Molly's Nipple, Gooseberry Mesa area. I had a couple comments reach out telling me that I should do a little bit more ranting. I should talk a little bit more. So today I thought, you know, I'll talk about why cigars, why Cuban cigars. So nicotine, nootropics, nootropics have been a really hot topic lately. You know, everybody's getting into peptides, into GLP-1s, all these performance enhancing substances like creatine. Even the health aspects of coffee and caffeine are becoming more of a talking point. I really like nicotine for its mental clarity, mental focus capabilities. I've also read that nicotine can help prevent or diminish the likelihood of Parkinson's and dementia. So it has some neuroelasticity benefits, supposedly. This is all just conjecture and random stuff that I've read. Smoking, of course, is not great for your health. Smoking cigars is a little bit unique in that aspect, as you're not inhaling. You still are, of course, getting trace amounts of smoke into your lungs, and of course, you're getting a lot of that nicotine into your bloodstream through your saliva, through your gums. And one of the reasons why I like cigars is the flavor, the taste, the smell, but also the ritual. You know, finding a nice spot outside to reflect on your day or meditate on a certain thought. You know, pondering your orb has its benefits. I find that vaping or using nicotine pouches like Zins, I'm just not really a fan of. It seems a lot more, I don't know, there's a modern machinery to it that I'm not a huge fan of. There's an aspect of how it's processed or how it's manufactured, or, you know, how it's artificial or synthesized. That vape smoke comes from these oils that you're pulling down into your lungs, and who knows what's really in there. Cases of popcorn lung and things like that. And there's just something digital and computerized about a vape that I don't really vibe with that much. Compared to a cigar, especially a handmade, hand-rolled cigar, it just has a callback to something traditional. I don't know, something a little bit more craftsman about it. There's a long history with tobacco, even tobacco grown in America. I tend to prefer Cuban cigars specifically, regardless of the insane prices and their scarcity and their rarity and their quality control issues, which there are. You know, they're not always rolled the best. They don't always burn the best, but I do find that the flavors are incredibly unique. I've had plenty of quote unquote New World. I know some people don't like that term. New World cigars, Nicaraguan, Honduran, Dominican, and there are some good ones out there that I really enjoy. I'm a huge fan of Kyle Gellis and Warped Cigars, the Saunter. One of my first forays into smoking cigars was my father. Connecticut's I was really big on. The Warped Saunter, the Warped Cocodrillo. What else did I really like? The Opus stuff, the Opus X Angels Share, Opus X 20th anniversary, the Don Carlos. A lot of those cigars are great. They're awesome. But to my personal palate, I find that Cuban cigars just have something about it. It's different and sets it apart, and I like them a little bit more. I don't know if it's the volcanic ash. I'm not sure if it's the offshore breeze. A lot of people say that Cuban cigars have changed immensely over the last few decades, which, that's fine. I've never smoked a pre-revolution Cuban, and haven't had a lot of Cubans that are from, the 90s or the 80s, and people say that they've changed so much, and that's fine. But I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about the Cuban cigars that you're buying right now, or even 5, 10 years of age on them. I just find them to be a little bit better. You can see the burn on this stick right here is not perfect by any means, but it's fine. It doesn't really bother me that much. I'll keep smoking it, and if I feel I need to correct it, I'll correct it. At the end of the day, it's all just personal preference. And there are some really good Dominican cigars out there. There are some really good Nicaraguan cigars out there. I've had my fair share of Padron, and they're awesome. They're great. But if I had my choice between a Cuban and a non-Cuban, I'm probably going to grab the Cuban almost every single time. For no other reason because of the flavor. I've had a few Maduros, and I'm not a huge fan of Maduros. And to my own detriment, that steered me away from cigars that tend to have a darker wrapper. I probably need to do a little bit more exploration in that sense and experiment more. And I will, as time permits. When I first started smoking cigars, I was really big on the Perdomo Connecticut. And I've had the Perdomo Bourbon Barrel Aged Connecticut as well, which was really great. Johnny Tobacco Knot was just okay. But when I started to get into the Kyle Gellis warped cigars, like the La Colmena, those were really good. But there was something about the Saunter that I just really, really loved. And that made me gravitate toward lighter cigars, Connecticut wrappers. And so when I started getting into Cubans, I first gravitated toward anything that had more of a creamy note, more of a floral note, known for a lighter body. So I dove into Hoyo de Monterey very quickly, and I enjoyed those. But as time went on, I started to venture into more of the St. Louis Rey, the Juan Lopez, some Partagas, and especially the Por Larrañaga. I love Por Larrañaga. Those you could consider to be a little bit more of a lighter body, a little sweeter cigar. And, you know, the PLPC, it just worked great for my palate. You might be able to hear some gunshots off in the distance, and there must be a shooting range close by. Quite a bit of clouds behind me, in front of me. I can see some rain off in the distance. Looks really cool. I don't think we're going to get hit with any rain here, even though these clouds are getting a little bit heavier and darker. Really nice to be able to come out here, enjoy the outdoors through some off-road trails. Side-by-side's great, and I've got an excellent driver. Driver's asking to take a sip off of this. This is where we're at now on the cigar. It's just a petite Robusto, so it's not going to be too long of a smoke. I mean, it is enjoyable.
Make sure your jacket isn't clear the next day.
There is a pretzel-y flavor to this, for sure. Pretzel, toast. There's a little bit of a salty note. Plenty of that unique Cuban twang to this cigar. As far as a rating, probably go with an 8, 8.1. There's some cedar in there. I would say that I prefer the Reyes over this Media Luna. The memories that I have of smoking the Reyes, it seems to be a little bit sweeter than this. I'm a tough crowd. I probably have a pretty narrow palate on my preferences. And I'm honing in more on the things that I like. The Upman, the Por Larrañaga, the Hoyo, the Cohiba. I have had my fair share of Bolivar, of Partagas, and those are not my favorite. Ramon Iones is another one where there's a very distinct stone fruit or stewed fruit note, and I'm not a huge fan of Ramon Iones either. In the future, I promise, I'll get to some cigars that I absolutely love, like the K. Dorsey Coronas Claro, the St. Louis Rey Adamastor, the H. Upman Half Corona, Petite Corona, the Hoyo de Monterey, Hoyo du Député. I'm going to try and find some Hoyo du Roy, some Hoyo du Gourmet. Those would be really great to have. Really looking forward to the Hoyo Souvenir Deluxe. I got a couple tins of those on a recent trip to Japan, and they're not aged by any means. They're probably very young, but still, I'll crack into one or two of those and see what they're like. We'll show you around this area a little bit more. We got some great views up here. You can see a lot of the city of Hurricane, Utah. Down below us, Sand Hollow Reservoir. I'll even try to show you how far away we are from the Babylon Fingers, which we featured in my last video. We're not far at all. I feel so lucky to have access to the outdoors like this. These mesas behind me, all the red rocks. It's just awesome out here. I love it. I can't get enough of it. Cigar is definitely starting to transition now. That spice is almost completely gone. Even that pretzel note is starting to smooth out a little bit. And there's a little bit of a butter note, kind of a buttery toast coming through. Definitely a nutty cashew or peanut is starting to become more prominent. White pepper on the retrohale. Let me know in the comments if you guys are fans of Trinidad, what Trinidads you've had, which ones are your favorite. The Trinidad Media Luna that I'm smoking here was introduced in 2019 along with two other cigars. I believe the Topaz went into regular production and the Esmeralda as well. The Media Luna, introduced in 2019, marked the 50th anniversary of Trinidad. And there is this huge humidor that they released that year as well that featured some other sticks. I think only 50 of those humidors were made, and it looks really nice. Definitely a collector's item if you're a huge fan of Trinidad. I do have a couple singles of Trinidad Fundadoras, which of course is a legendary cigar. People can't say enough good things about the Trinidad Fundadoras, and I'll probably get into that. I'll make a video of me smoking the Fundadoras and share my thoughts on it. It is getting a little cold out here for me. A little cold, but we'll make the most of it. The band came right off of this thing, and there's a very prominent citrus note that's developed. Getting down to it now. I'm not sure if the microphone is picking it up, but there's a bald eagle flying around that has this massive screech. And it's just awesome. Well, that's going to be it for me on this one. Thanks for hanging out again and smoking the Trinidad Media Luna with me. We will see you in the next one.